Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this guest narration by SpottedDeath, who has come in clutch and helped me out by doing this while I recover from the old roader. Anyways, I hope that you enjoy.
Taking a Bath by user A Glass of Whiskey. Why is he inside the bath again? Haven't I told him to spend every breathing moment trying to find a solution? Yes, sir. He said he would find some solutions inside, sir. Among them, the thicker their gray hide, the higher their status, and his superior had a very thick hide indeed. Probably weighed over a ton in total as well. Not someone you wanted to have asking aggressive questions at you. Inside the bath? Yes, he answered, not quite sure what the answer was supposed to be. The superior's voice reached higher and higher as he continued on. Does he keep secret recordings inside of there or something? Does the water droplet form a secret message informing him how to do it? Towards the end, his voice reached almost a scream. The poor subordinate tried to, without moving his feet, lean backwards and shrink into himself, away from the horror in front of him. No? Taking a deep breath, the superior steadied himself. No use screaming at useless people, he reminded himself. These fools. You told them to watch a man until he gets the job done and make sure he's focused on the job and nothing else. Then they let him get away with hour-long showers. He would grab that impudent little human and drag him out of there himself. A plan started to formulate in his head as he brushed aside his all-too-happy-to-be-out-of-the-way subordinate to make room. First, he would smash in the door, all that good thunder and awe. Then, drag the human out of that damn shower and back to his papers. Yes, that would teach him. Standing next to the door, he prepared the thunder, as well as some well-chosen words. But just as he was about to rush the door, it opened. The wrong way, smashing straight into his face. Ouch! What in the ever-living hell? It hurt, goddammit. His face felt like it had been stamped on by a rhinoceros. Eureka! The running human was screaming as he rushed towards his papers, stark raving nude, with water dripping all over the place. As soon as he got a hold of one of the papers and a pen, he started to write fervently. Glad someone finally got their senses together, he said to no one in particular, as his subordinate was busy trying his hardest not to be there, and the human was scribbling on his papers at a rapid pace. Yeah. Good work, could be heard streaming from the human's mouth as his pen whooshed over the papers, striking out old calculations and filling in new ones in their place. Not being used to being ignored, even if the human was now doing what he was supposed to be doing, his blood pressure started to rise. Do you think you can just ignore me? At this outcry, the human finally looked up. Oh, you're here. Good. Can I get you to get some stuff for me? It wasn't really a question, as he pushed a paper with some text scribbled on it into his face before going back to his papers. This was worse than being ignored. He was not some simple errand boy to be subject to the human's whims. Now listen here, little human. I will not... I got the answer. He didn't even look up from his papers, or stop writing, but the words had a power all of their own as they filled the room. Really? He wasn't an errand boy, per se, but an accomplice of the greatest invention in forever? That was something else. Right then, let's go. Gesturing at his subordinate that looked somewhat puzzled about what precisely had transpired, but did know that he was just given an order from a man that had, just a moment ago, been exploding with rage. As soon as his mind had registered this, the subordinate flew out of the room, his feet barely touching the ground. Walking outside, he handed the list to his subordinate. "Now, how fast can we get everything on this list?"
Well, at the moment, with the current supplies," the man said as he scanned the list as fast as his eyes allowed.
"Out with it, man!"
5 minutes, sir."
"Really?" His surprise over the quick turnaround time of his previously held to be incompetent subordinate turned to suspicion. "Let me see that list," he said as he ripped the list out of his subordinate's hand. "Shampoo, shower gel, those things you put in your ears but aren't supposed to. What is this? What is this?" The human was playing games with him now. Oh, he would get him for this. He would...
"Now, sir, calm down."
"Calm down? I am calm!"
he said as the steam coming from his ears started to condense into miniature clouds. Storming back towards the human's room.
"Calm down, calm down. I will have you know I have never been this calm before in my life," he muttered to the half-walking, half-running subordinate trying to keep up.
"But he might have done it," came the teeny, weak voice from behind, ignored by the storm in front of him as he rushed the last distance to the human's quarters and with his full body tackled the door. Parts of the door came flying into the room, with the man being the cause of them flying in among them. The human sat quiet, the pen having fallen from his hand, in total serenity, reading his work.
"I will not be an errand boy to..." "What are you doing?"
The non-effect of his shock and thunder had shocked him deeply. He was used to having some effect, adverse effect perhaps if used on a superior, but some effect at least. "It will work. Yes, it all makes sense." Looking up for a moment, his eyes saw the captain, and the door splintered around him. "Gosh, what happened to you?" After a quick scan of the captain, and the subordinate trying his best not to be in the same room, but still somehow following the captain. "And where is my stuff? Didn't you find any shower stuff? I need it for the research, you know. Clean mind, clean thoughts." He poked at his head as to indicate the importance of his head being spotless clean. The sheer audacity of the human aside, did he really have the answer? The anti-gravity drive they had worked so hard for?
"Are you sure?"
If this was true, the sky was no longer the limit. They would be limitless. "Sure as I am clean." Ah, one of those human sayings, clearly.
"When can we build one?"
Build?
"The anti-gravity drive."
Did he need to pronunciate every tiny thing to this human? Oh, that! Now, I haven't solved that one yet. From the human, it sounded as if it was a minor problem, something reserved for straight after a hefty lunch, when the food coma made other, more difficult problems unsolvable.
"But then, why... what have you solved?"
The perfect ratio of shower to head. Isn't it great? Space Oddity by user Assault Kitten. It is a warm summer afternoon, and the sun is shining through the windows into a dusty, unused back room of the Mercian National Museum of Cultural History. There sits an oddity. It stands among nearly a dozen other statues from antiquity, a motley spread of wizened god kings, divine heroes, hissing demons, and triumphant generals, each visage a story unto itself, but all plucked from the same tomb nearly a local century ago. They had spent nearly 2.5 millennia buried with the greatest conqueror of the age, prizes from victories over other ancient nations, now arranged around his sarcophagus to serve as an eternal council. But, after being exhaustively catalogued and researched over nearly a lifetime, had once again been left to their own company. While each of the statues had at one time been the topic of scholarly conversation and interest, there was one that held fast at the edge of the public consciousness: the Oddity. It is a statue depicting a being standing straight and tall on two legs, an oversized club sword held almost like a cane or a walking stick with both its hands. That being, totally scaleless, looks forward with an intense gaze despite only having two eyes. Worked into the stone upon its head is a metal circlet mounted with an emerald, as if an imitation of the third eye it's missing. The material composition of the circlet is unlike anything else seen from that era, and has been officially theorized to have been the product of an unknown metallurgical technique rendered from ore deposits depleted before this world's age of exploration. The next time that Mercian scientists will encounter the same material will be on another summer afternoon much like this one, when a 1.5-kilometer-long spacefaring vessel will rocket through their planet's atmosphere before coming to a gentle halt over the outskirts of the capital city. First contact will of course be astonishing for many, but doubly so for anyone who notices the similarities between one of the Galactic Federation's founding races and an old statue that's still collecting dust in a museum's back room. In time, the Oddity would come to the attention of this race. There would be a great deal of eternal debate among both the human and Mercian camps as to whether an official statement on the matter would be beneficial, and both parties would finally agree that it is in the best interest of both races to acknowledge that the being whose likeness was cast in stone as many as 4,000 years ago was in fact a human male, likely marooned on the planet during the humans' massive push for deep space exploration. Record-keeping from the era is sparse enough to make any further identification impossible. The inscription on the statue's plinth is in a dead language. The characters etched into the marble would have been unreadable even in the age of the conqueror who took the human's likeness as a prize. But above the beautifully rendered flowing script are a handful of crudely chiseled marks. They say, "I was here," in the human trade language. And so he was, and will be, a nameless man with an untold story who has kept the company of gods and kings in a foreign land long after his bones returned to dust.
The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Arnholtz, White Van 420, Lord Azrakal, Arcalian, and Oakfield.